Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Recently on the channel, we've been covering a lot of news when it comes to older Call of Duty games, something that we've never really done here on the channel because it really hasn't been relevant. But in the past couple of weeks and months, there's been a lot of stuff going on with older Call of Duty titles, and well, quite frankly, none of it was really positive. It was mostly major security issues, basically saying, hey, if you were to go out and play Cold War a few weeks ago, you were posing a major security threat to yourself by allowing people to potentially get in the game with you that could hack your PC, install all sorts of malware and viruses and do all sorts of stuff there, track your IP, hit you offline, do a bunch of super obnoxious and dangerous stuff, quite frankly. Now, there has been various security updates put out to try and counter this stuff, and it's done an okay job at that. There's still some bad apples here and there that end up having light shown on them from time to time, but for the most part, they've addressed some of that stuff, and that was not like just exclusive to Cold War. It was happening on plenty of other old COD titles as well. But recently, Activision actually made some sort of secret behind the scenes updates to a lot of the older Call of Duty games that almost indicate something is coming. They are only doing this, at least in my opinion, for one very specific reason, because we're likely going to see some major updates happen to a lot of older Call of Duty titles here in the coming days and weeks. And it has to do with the Microsoft and Activision Blizzard King acquisition and the merger that's going on there. We've covered the whole Activision merger here with Microsoft and the acquisition that Microsoft is basically just trying to buy Call of Duty and Activision titles and Blizzard and King IPs. We've talked about it from time to time here. We know that just recently the FTC got rejected for their whole block of the merger happening. Now they've submitted an appeal and the UK CMA is still working on stuff there, but essentially they're doing this merger, right? At least in the US, they are working towards that. By the time this video goes up, it could already have officially been done, and it's completed here in the US, pending certain things happening. This video is being recorded a few days in advance, but regardless, it seems like Activision is sort of prepping for the full-on merger and all the things that are going to be happening because of that long term, because just recently they've actually gone through and done some pretty significant server updates on all of the old Call of Duty titles. This was actually discovered a few days back, and Charlie Intel posted about it. Modern Warzone has posted about it. There's been various people in the community who have actually gone through and tested this on a bunch of old games. COD 4, Modern Warfare 2, MW3 even, Black Ops 1. Basically, for a long time now, there's been a problem for playing older Call of Duties and being a part of that nostalgia aspect of COD, where if you were trying to play these games on anywhere basically but the modded PC servers, which, as we know, Call of Duty has actually ceased and desisted several of those in the past couple of months, so there's not really major access to those anymore. If you were trying to search for games or play these games online on Xbox 360, it was almost impossible. You'd have to spend 10, 20, 30, 40 minutes searching for a simple match of team deathmatch or free-for-all, and you might get put in a match eventually after half an hour of waiting with like 4 other people, and there was basically no activity on these games. Even if there were active people playing, and say there were a couple hundred or a couple thousand people trying to play the games, it just wasn't possible to get in the servers where the other people were, and there weren't lobbies that were actively being filled. But now Activision has gone in and basically expanded the servers and maybe done some changes that makes them not as restrictive, so you can now easily go back and play older Call of Duties. Most of them are backwards compatible now, I believe, as well, especially on like Xbox and Xbox One and all that stuff, right? Series X and what have you. You can go back and play these old games like you were playing MW3 on the Xbox 360 or MW2 or even COD 4 at this point, and actually find lobbies easily. Now, why exactly would Activision be at all interested in giving any attention to their decade-old titles? Some of them even older than that, right? Well, it just so happens there's this little thing in gaming called Xbox Game Pass. And one of the things that was mentioned and brought up several times in this whole Microsoft, Activision, Blizzard King merger is Call of Duty on Game Pass. And it's been said that necessarily new Call of Duties are not a target for Game Pass because they want new CODs to be available on PlayStation, on Xbox, on PC, on Nintendo Switch. They want a full and broad availability for all CODs in the future. That's sort of Microsoft's goal. At least it's what they've been reiterating time and time again throughout the court cases up until this point in all their public announcements and whatnot. But you have all these older Call of Duty games that, you know, don't have super active player bases that they definitely are interested in putting on Xbox Game Pass. And considering now that this merger is on the way, it does seem like Activision is saying, okay, we know that Xbox wants old Call of Duty games on Game Pass, so you can have that subscription and go and play MW2 2009 or MW3 or Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, whenever you please, as a part of Game Pass. You know, subscribe to our service, it's just one of the benefits of it. And they've now gone through and made these games a lot more playable. And, you know, in hindsight now, it does add a little bit more sense to the whole situation of them issuing cease and desists for the various community-made projects, right? With X Labs and with SM2. They obviously shut down those projects, and they were like the only means to actually being able to safely play old Call of Duty games. Well, maybe this was actually because they were planning on doing exactly this. Going through and updating the servers on all these older Call of Duty titles so that once this merger is a done deal and set in stone and all these old COD games can be added to Xbox Game Pass, they'll actually be playable, and that'll be the place to go to try and play them and, you know, relive the golden days of COD, if you will. At the time, yes, it looks very bad on COD, and honestly, I think it is still unfortunate for sure that they're shutting down these community-made projects because they are really cool ideas. SM2 in specific was very ambitious and had a lot of really cool things in the pipeline, so it sucks that they're not going to be able to actually release these mods, right? But it does, at least from a business standpoint, make more sense now why out of the blue Call of Duty was just shutting down nostalgia COD projects, because obviously they want to say, hey Microsoft, you guys want to buy us, we'll give you all these old games on Xbox Game Pass, and we'll make sure that they actually have, you know, a playability factor to them. It's not going to be queuing for a lobby for 35 minutes and then getting to play with 4 other people and you're on 410 ping, right? Makes a little bit more sense for sure. This whole situation with the Microsoft and Activision merger is definitely interesting to follow, and it's curious to see how certain things are being updated, like this, for instance, as you know, more things become certain as time goes on and as we get clearance from the court cases and certain things go in Microsoft's favor. Definitely an interesting update, one that was not talked about at all officially from Activision. They didn't say, hey, if you're playing MW2 on Xbox 360 right now, we've updated the servers, you know, restart your game, update requires restart. This was a silent secret update in the background that definitely is a positive one. It's about time we've had some good updates for some old COD games and not just really negative and bummer news to discuss. So neat stuff going on there. If you're a fan of the old CODs and you don't just want to play the new games, probably because MW2 and Warzone 2 are unplayable every other week because of the updates, you might have more options now if you're a fan of the old COD titles. That said, that is going to wrap things up for this one. If you enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. Would be seriously appreciated. And if you're new here, you want to stay up to date with all things going on in COD on a daily basis, I got you covered. So feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. And as always, if you want to check out any of my partners, be sure to use code IMMORTAL for a discount on all G Fuel, Gamer Advantage, and Control Freak products, and the links for all those can be found down in the description below. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.